hey there, Jitty. Glad to have you. Weren't we just talking a few minutes ago? Yeah, glad to have you. Mm. We're gonna wait for maybe a few more minutes to let a few people come on in. Glad to have you, like I said. Hopefully, I'll be able to help you get to sleep just a little bit. Am I? I hope I'm not too quiet. Oh, good. Make the music slightly louder. Oh, thank you. This is not what I was talking about before. But it is suitable just until I get what I have planned finished. You know, it'll do for the moment. It'll do. Yeah. I'm glad the day is starting to get to an end, though, honestly. I have sort of felt this one a little bit longer than usual. So I'm glad it's getting close to being over. You know, I guess that's the nature of the winter, is it starts to get a little bit like the days feel a little longer, just a little bit. I guess that's just the way it goes. We'll start now, though. Hello, everybody. It is 7:35 p.m. the 2nd of January 2021. The new year. It's a relief. I know that a new year does not discriminate good things or bad things from happening. But it is still a relief to know that we made it through. A relief to know that we are on the other side of what might be one of the worst years of the 2010s. And we did it. And I feel a sense of gratitude towards me and towards my fellow man and woman. More so than that, I feel gratitude for humanity for allowing us to make it this far, even though that was staggeringly difficult, and there's still more difficulty to come, of course, but we've made it through a poor time, and I think we all deserve to be congratulated for that. Though it does date this video slightly, I think that it's alright, because this was made during a very strange time. But now, we're mostly going to discuss a few very light topics today, like usual. To begin with, we're talking about some good news. Here is our first good news for the day. Grandparents. I'll give you some then, how about that? Grandparents finally get to hug grandkids after 9 months, thanks to inflatable polar bear costumes. Grandparents who hadn't hugged their grandson since March shared a loving embrace, thanks to a bright idea to use inflatable polar bear costumes. Barbara and Clive Walshaw said the heartwarming hug was the best 6 minutes they had all year. They got to hold their 3 grandkids, Quinn, 6, Morgan, 8, and Mackenzie, 14, for the first time since March the 1st, after surprising them with the costumes. It's pretty incredible. The couple had been self-isolating, and Barbara said it was heartbreaking for the children when they were told they couldn't nip around to see them for Christmas. They had originally planned to spend Christmas together on a Zoom call with a laptop at the end of a dinner table, but the ingenious grandmother stumbled upon the inflatable polar bears while Christmas shopping online and realized she had found a way to hug her beloved grandchildren safely on December 25th. She said it was the best 15 quid she'd ever spent, as it brought so much joy and pure Christmas spirit. The couple, who were in their 70s, snuck up to their grandchildren's home in Kirkstall, Leeds, and hugged it out while protected by the 6-foot costume. It was really hard on all of the boys, said Barbara. We normally spend Christmas Day with them, and we wondered what we were going to do with all that's been going on. The tight-knit family normally spend 2 to 3 days every week together, with a spare room for the boys to stay overnight. The costumes worked really well, totally enclosed. It was the best idea I've ever had, I think. The younger boy was a bit overawed by these massive polar bears, but when he realized it was us, it was so lovely. So many cuddles. It was amazing. Everyone was so happy in those 6 minutes, and we laughed and cried. I loved it. At around noon on Christmas Day, Neil Walshaw, 45, and his wife, Hazel, told their 3 boys they heard a rumor that there were polar bear sightings in Kirkstall. That's great. When they walked out, they spotted their grandparents bouncing over hysterically in the massive costumes. His youngest son, Quinn, was so shocked when he saw Nana and Grandpa walk up to their home that he sprinted back into the house and out again to make sure it was real. Neil said it was the best hug his boys ever had, and a memory they would never forget. They are the best grandparents in Leeds. They're simply fantastic. Quite wholesome. It makes me miss my grandparents, but I'm sure many people feel that way as well, missing family members. I had my grandparents in my life since I was just a baby, just about 2, 3 years old, less than that probably. My grandpa was a war veteran in the Navy, and my grandma was a nurse. I don't actually know if it was a Florence Nightingale thing or not, but they did meet under a sort of similar kind of circumstance. Makes you think back to that old picture of that post-war man, the soldier in the uniform, kissing the heck out of that nurse who's sort of in that dancing pose where he's got her bent over and leaned back. I always thought that picture was so representative of just how grateful everybody was for it to be over, and how carefree and just grateful everyone was. And I think there's a lot of that same energy here this month. Everyone's just glad that so much of that's behind us now. There's still quite a bit ahead, but we got through 2020. You know, we did it. But there are still things that I have to think about and worry about. And it is a difficult time for me and my family still. Something that is important to remember is that we all have responsibility to, make something wonderful, to enjoy what we do, and to work hard. And something that I plan to work very hard on this year, sort of a resolution for me in the New Year's, was to make my business work, my business of helping people relax, whether it be through Patreon or YouTube or Twitch, to give people just a nice piece of comfort to add to their day. Just something that can help people feel a little more close to a gentler side. Because that's all we can really hope for, is to have something gentle in our sometimes very stressful and busy days. But I think that we have a lot to be grateful for, like I said. On a different note, today is only the second day of 2021. And already I've been pretty busy. I'm on my 11th day of yoga. I may have been recanting about my adventure in the last stream as well, how I had only just started and how I was a little bit excited to continue. And I have continued, though I had to skip a day, so I'm on day 12, but really I've been doing it for 13 days, if you count this one. It feels like a lot of work, and I haven't really finished all of them completely. I get about 90% on one or two of them, and I just sort of go like, oh, I can't do anymore. And I don't give up, but I let it go. And certainly there is something good about saying I put in some time. Because I really did, and I really do have a sense of accomplishment for it. But it's never really won. You don't really ever finish that. It's something you take with you for your whole life. In fact, I would say that it's a part of you, once you begin. And it never really leaves. It's such a wonderful thing, though. It's a bit like a song you really like, you enjoy, and treasure it, and it helps you, and you make peace with the fact that it's in your life. Sometimes you don't even need to do that because it's so enjoyable to you. Though I have found it's a little difficult for me to enjoy yoga as much as everyone else seems to. Though I do feel grateful for its benefits, and I am happy that I'm able to stick with it for so long, because that's a very new sort of attitude that I've developed. Because in the past, exercise has always been very spotty for me, and being able to go for so long and to keep up a regimen is wonderful. Though I have found that it's very tiring. I had to give myself plenty of time to relax after a lot of it. I think you will enjoy it more and more the more you do it. You're probably right, Jenny. You're probably right. I think a good example of that is people who do things like CBT oil and who go on hikes and things like that. Though honestly, I was debating whether or not I would be a very smooth companion for tonight. Though I do very much enjoy being here for you folks as a voice to have on in the background or a person to speak with. There are times when I feel particularly incapacitated by either the mood I'm having or the day I'm having. I was worried that this would be one of those days, though I plan to stream regardless of my mood, just as a reminder that I have a duty to accomplish and to appear here for you folks. But the best thing I can do in my own mind is keep going, even when I feel like I want to quit. Though, I won't say I want to quit this, to be honest with you. Certainly, I do feel like there is a lot of energy here that I want to explore. But let's move on to another good news story. Researchers pull carbon out of sky and convert it to instant jet fuel, reshaping aviation for good. A simple yet world-altering method of sucking CO2 from the air into airplanes, where it is converted directly to jet fuel, is described in a new paper published in Nature. With the importance of removing greenhouse gases from the atmosphere at the front of the center of so many economic and policy decisions, the invention of an onboard system for carbon-neutral flight would represent a massive step forward towards addressing the climate crisis. Some estimates put the aviation industry's primarily CO2 footprint of global emissions at just under 1 billion metric tons, or around 2.4% of all human activities. Converting atmospheric CO2 into usable hydrocarbon fuel is difficult, and as until recently, expensive both in terms of capital and electricity. Using a molecule that is fully oxidized and thermodynamically stable, there are few keys that can cheaply or efficiently unlock it for reuse. Some catalysts, compounds that can attract and force a change in molecules, can convert CO2 into hydrocarbon molecules of a desirable configuration for jet fuels, but their use is limited because they are expensive or require huge amounts of electricity. They're also inconsistent with producing hydrocarbon chains, with a number of atoms ideal for aviation fuels. The University of Oxford's Peter Edwards, Tiankun Zhao, Benzhen Yao, and colleagues designed a new iron-based catalyst that represents an inexpensive way of directly capturing atmospheric CO2 and converting it into a jet fuel range of hydrocarbons. The basic catalyst is iron-based and includes other simple chemicals like potassium nitrate, citric acid, and manganese, and when activated would only need to climb to about 300 degrees Celsius, 572 degrees Fahrenheit to work. The authors were also able to collect other important raw materials for the petrochemical industry during the conversion process, which are currently available only from crude oil. Essentially, what Edwards and other researchers discovered was a method for mining CO2, which, far from being the blanket term used in climate change studies, represents a wealth of volatile natural resources that can produce all manner of petrochemical products on the ground. The advances reported here offer a route out of the current worldwide life cycle for jet fuels based on the present production, consumption, disposal, emission structure, write the authors of the invention, whose paper was published in Nature. This, then, is the vision for the route to achieving net zero carbon emissions from aviation, a fulcrum of a future global zero carbon aviation sector. Certainly thrilling for me, the idea of this new technology. I think that the change in the world that I see is really positive. And this is one of those cases where it makes me happy that technology is so advanced that we can sort of mine the clouds of smog, essentially, to get something useful out of them. Isn't that wonderful? We live in a crazy, crazy world. It reminds me of when I was much younger. I was in band camp, though it was more of a school band camp, not a camp in the middle of the woods band camp, which many of you will probably sympathize with. I was playing the alto saxophone, though I preferred the tenor. I didn't quite have the audacity and the brazen boldness to say, I'd rather just go play jazz band and walk away from the situation. But I did something I'm very good at. I withstood the difficulties I faced in the form of embarrassment and humiliation, and generally feeling rather unpleasant all the time. You know, I withstood, I endured, and my endurance has been tested many a time by these situations. But what I think about now is how much this endurance tested me and pushed me, and how much I must have gained from having gotten through all of this. Because I have been through so much, I have been and seen so much. It makes me aware of how much more I can really offer and deliver and give. And it's made me a better friend, a more understanding and compassionate partner in all types of ways. And it has made me feel like I know far greater the spectrum of things that I both enjoy and hate. Because, you know, you learn a lot about yourself when you're suffering quite a bit. And I learned a lot too. Going back to what you said, Ginny, about enjoying things the more you do them. This stream certainly is one of those cases where you enjoy doing things after you've perpetuated a cycle for a number of sessions in this case. And it has made me feel quite a bit more capable and lax in that can-do attitude regarding voice acting. And I do feel some sadness at not quite being recognized for my skill, I guess you could say. But I know that these things take time, and I have to remind myself that I'm doing quite a bit already. Because it does not come quick or easy, at least to almost everybody. And I shouldn't expect things to be any different. Though I comment on this not as a criticism of the system or refuting anything as far as a need to work hard. I comment on this because it does seem to me that I believe in my own nature, in my own ability to prosper more than before. And so I comment on this because I hope and pray that I will have the chance to show what I'm capable of. And I do hope that that time comes someday. Though I understand if it's still miles away from me. But hopefully, increasing the amount of streams that we do will also increase the amount of attention that we receive. Certainly is a hope that I have. And I'm always glad to come to the end of a stream and have it be done. I always feel a little better when I'm finished. Then I can enjoy the rest of my night and in peace take things easy. And January is a new month of a new year. And that means that we can look at things and celebrate that we have so much time left to enjoy this world together. And I say that it's a time for me to continue and grow and shape relationships and myself into something beautiful, even more beautiful than it already is. I had another flashback just now. Though I couldn't possibly speak on this one. It's far too inappropriate for this stream. It was something that came to me just in a moment of being awash in my own thoughts. Maybe I'll share it someday though. It's certainly good to be here. Even if I was reluctant earlier, it's nice to just be sitting around and enjoying this nice little ambience together. Let's move on to our next good news story. Grandfather of homeless animals graduates from veterinary program to care for stray dogs. The grandfather of homeless animals has been awarded for his volunteering efforts looking after stray dogs, graduating from a veterinary medicine program in his 70s. He now travels hundreds of miles a week to care for them. Retiring from his career as a biology teacher after serving his community for 42 years, Turkey's Fevzi Uyar has been dedicating his time to animals in need for the past 5 years. He has cared for many stray dogs, including building over 80 plywood animal shelters to house them during the winter months. To each one, he adds carpets, rugs, and blankets for insulation and comfort. Uyar also travels more than 90 miles every 2 days to provide homeless dogs with food and water. With the help of other animal lovers, he supplies 8 to 10 tons of dog food and meals to strays each month. Up to 1,000 dogs now recognize his van and follow it along the path of food stops he has established. After encountering animals in need of medical attention, Uyar incurred several thousands of dollars in debt to his local veterinarian. To continue providing care, he enrolled in a veterinary medicine program, despite being past retirement age. Recently graduating, the 71-year-old now vaccinates, treats, and dresses any wounds. For his efforts to provide stray animals with a better life, Uyar has been awarded the first Gladiator Award from the Babbitt Family Foundation. They say, "We hope Mr. Uyar's story will inspire you to discover how a single individual can contribute to changing the world and benefiting all of humanity." It's another good one. Also, thank you to, oh, I didn't even see that until just now. Thank you to Redshirt with Phaser for following, and thank you to Ass Kicker Girl for following as well. Lovely to have you. It's always good to see that. Well, I hope you're all doing alright. We're just getting past the first half hour here. Still got 3 more to go. Today, we're generally recapping about some of the things that we're grateful for as far as making it through the year 2020 and how we have succeeded this much. You were watching Preacher. Well, oh, it's alright. I'm glad you showed up, though. Oh, it's you, Gigi. I only just now saw your message. Well, thank you so much for showing up. I'm glad that you have. Yeah, this is a Gigi. Yep. This is a sort of informal that we do on Saturdays, and it is the first iteration of a stream type that I've been trying to make work. And this is episode 10. There was going to be a special occurrence on episode 10, but it needed to be rescheduled for a different episode, unfortunately. But hopefully it will be happening sometime soon, though I can't say exactly when. Still looking forward to that special occurrence, though I can't go into it too much. Glad to have you, Gigi, even so. So, looking back on 2020, let's do some positive thinking. In 2020, so much negativity was had, so much poor vibes and poor energy. Let's take a moment, just maybe 5 minutes, to look back on some of the positive things that happened that year. It may be difficult to imagine or think of any because of the nature of the difficulties that were experienced, but I think if we give it a minute, if we put our minds to it, we can come up with something. I'll tell you one of mine. In 2020, I was able to reach a new phase of my recovery. GG says, I was well stocked up enough on TP that they didn't have to fight the hordes. Certainly that's a blessing, I would say. Something that I am grateful for as an accomplishment is gaining the will to start this awesome podcast, this awesome stream. I always call it a podcast, it's a stream. I started this on October 31st of last year, and I am always surprised at how far we've come, even though it's only 10 episodes. I don't imagine I could have gone through with something like this at the beginning of 2020, let alone any other time in my troubled existence, and I'm grateful that I am here. And I know we have a long way to go still, but I am looking forward to it. Let's see, let's think of one more thing good that happened with us in 2020. In 2020, I was able to recover from a very serious arm problem that I had in which I couldn't type. It required a lot of quick thinking as far as ways to keep going, and even an operation on my elbow. Luckily though, we were able to get through to the other side. And now I'm able to type just about as freely as ever, though I must admit I must keep some restraint on myself, despite my wish to be as unrestrained as I can be. I'm still rather grateful that I've come this far and that my Christmas wish, my New Year's wish as well, came true. That's something that I'm absolutely overjoyed at. Thank you, Jenny. I'm in a bit of a yay over it myself. And I believe we are very close to 20 followers. 20 amazing followers, which is difficult for me to even imagine that we've come that far. Because we started at 3 in October. Oh, we've gained so many since then. And now we have people poking each other in chat. Look at us go. To over 225 unique views and over almost 20 followers. So we're doing really good. Really, really good. It is certainly a goal of mine to get us to 50 followers in decent time. It would also mean that we would be able to accept subscriptions finally. And I'm looking forward to when I can finally play the subscription noise that I've been saving for so long. It took me some time to even get it, but it is very good. And when you hear it, all of you, whether you listen to it live or in the next stream VOD that you go to, it will be a joyous thing, and I think everybody will be happy when it plays. I'll certainly be grateful, and I don't know exactly what I'll think in that moment besides, I can't believe it's happening. I'll certainly be glad, if nothing else. I'm already glad just thinking about it. Now it's time for our next good news story. Son finds Hurry Back, Jenny. Original children's book written by his dad returning from World War II POW camp and publishes it 75 years later. A children's book written by a father for his son after he returned from World War II, a prisoner camp of war, has finally been published after 75 years. Now It Can Be Told was penned by Arthur Stybye. After he was released from a Japanese-run detention center, the Royal Artillery Major was captured by Japanese forces after the fall of Singapore in 1942 and endured horrific conditions. To keep his and others' spirits up, he wrote plays and sketches to be performed as entertainment for fellow POWs. Upon his return to Britain, Arthur then wrote the first parts of a children's book, which features a brave Dachshund involved in a wartime mission. A talented writer, he sent his work in easy-to-read weekly installments to his son Robert at boarding school. Thought to have been lost, the incomplete manuscript was rediscovered while Robert was sorting through old family boxes recently. Robert said, "My father died long ago, but recently I have had time to sort out a lot of family stuff. There, in a dusty old box, I found this tattered, dog-eared copy of the original but incomplete manuscript. I was overjoyed. Although I'm no longer 8, I am now in my 80s. Reading it again was such fun that I decided to publish it." He and nephew Jamie Stybye Harris then set about finishing the book, with Jamie doing the illustrations. Robert added, "I hope this little book will bring as much enjoyment to others as it did to the grubby little schoolboy for whom it was originally written." The book is available for £7, $9.50, and all proceeds from the sale of the book go to the Salisbury Hospice. Another lovely one. And that's our good news segment for today. I think that we've accomplished so much this year. I think we've come through the other side with a new understanding of us as both a species and as a people who want to make it through this hard time. So when I say thanks for sticking with me all the way through the end of last year, I mean it, really. Some of us didn't think we would even get there, and honestly, it was a bit extreme to think that, but I understand where they were coming from. And I'm grateful that we did. something that I'm very grateful for is everybody that has messaged in chat or has had something to say or has even decided to show up and listen. Because even people lurking, and you know who you are when I say lurking, have a right to all the content that is on this channel and on the YouTube. It's for you folks, the audience. It's not really for me, though I do get something out of doing it. I'm far more interested in making something that all of you can heal from and enjoy and get something out of. I'm much more happy knowing that it has helped somebody than knowing that it has done something of value or finance to me. Though I suppose I do need to worry about that to some degree. Welcome back, Jenny. So, as far as things we are looking forward to in 2021, let's take a few minutes to decide what we want to see out of this year. It may be a New Year's resolution, it may be a wish or a hope or a prayer that something in your life changes for the better. Just take a moment to think about that. I'll tell you mine if it helps. I pray that I am able to help as many people as I possibly can this year. I pray that I'm able to reach people in ways that I didn't imagine I could, or that I'm able to touch the spirits of people in such a meaningful and impactful way that I can almost see the smiles in their thank yous. And I hope that I can make something of this channel and make something that I can be proud of and that I can look back on and say I did a good job. That's what I hope for 2021. And I hope that you all have equally grand dreams, or even grander if you can imagine something that is of extreme importance to you. And if you could imagine it, then I hope you're able to achieve it. As for me, I'm grateful to be here, and that's enough for the moment. But now, besides all that, I hope that you are thinking about how relaxed you are and how much you're enjoying yourself. If that's the case, consider following this Twitch channel or subscribing on YouTube. It really does make a world of difference for me, and every person that gets involved means we make it easier for others to get involved too. And the more people we get involved, the more people we can help, and the more friends we can make. So just keep in mind, the best thing you can do is just enjoy the stream, sit back and relax, and consider joining us if you'd like to. So Ginny, when you subscribe on YouTube, it means that you get notifications when I post a YouTube video. What that means right now is you will get notifications when I make the VODs come live on on my YouTube channel, or when I post one of my ASMR meditations or stories. It also means that you count among a number of people who are proudly and broadly saying they wish to join me on my adventure. And that's a great thing. I think it's hard to have too many of those. And for the moment, I think it's a good thing to have even one subscriber, let alone 53, which is where we're at right now. And thank you for being a subscriber if you're watching this in the future, or if you're listening to it now. It's good to have you. I hope that helped answer your question, Jenny. I'm glad to hear it. And I have a suggestion to all of you. I suggest that you look up a channel called Psyche Truth. Or, more specifically, you look up 30-Day Yoga for Weight Loss with Julia Marie. I'm on day 12 as of tomorrow. And I have noticed that it has helped me quite a bit, just joining this yoga session every day. It's about 20 to 25 minutes of exercise and stretching. It's pretty exhausting for me because I'm not the most in shape, but I'd like to be more in shape just so I can further improve the quality of my life and my mental health. And I recommend everybody listening to this give it a look over, because certainly it is a wonderful thing to try and improve oneself through yoga. I can't recommend it enough. So, we're going to begin looking at some random words. Excitement. That's a good one. Something that I have always been excited about is improvement and change for the better. I've always been really happy to see things get a little bit better than before, or people be a little bit happier than before, or something really tough getting a little easier. And something that I am really grateful for is the human ability to adapt and improve. I think it's something we should all be grateful for, because we have made it this far in our history as a species because of our adaptation and our survival. And we keep that old hope of making it till tomorrow alive every day by choosing to live for another 24 hours. And I'm always glad to make that choice. And I think that for a lot of us, it is a great thing to do. So we have more opportunities to make friends and to enjoy each other's company and to do yoga or to sit at your computer and do something else. Generally, it's a good idea to choose to live your life, to keep going and to strive, even if it's tough. It's certainly a virtuous choice, one that I can't recommend enough. A cat painting, that's lovely. If you happen to have a picture of it, I can put it on stream for everybody to see. That is, if you'd like me to. Also, send it later. Okay. Be glad to see it in any shape. I'd like to shout out to SOS, the survivors on Second Life. SOS has been instrumental in my recovery from a lot of my mental health issues, and they are not only a great peer support group, but genuinely filled with kind, caring, and gentle people that have done nothing but help me. If you're watching this in the future, playing Second Life, and you are in need of some TLC from a peer member who can listen and at least tell you that they care about you, then look up SOS, the SOS sim on Legendia. In fact, I saw them. I saw them on, of all things, the Second Life update site. Just logging in one day, and I happened to catch them. They were having one of their fairs. And they happened to have their name mentioned on one of the little billboards. And it changed my life, honestly, it really did. It changed my life for the better. And I've never really looked back, because so much has been done for me just with that small amount of work of just caring a little bit each day. And it's so much now that I've actually supported it as fully as I can, as deeply as I can. And I do support SOS completely. Let's move on to our next word. Bless. There are many people that I bless. In my mind, I pray for them. And I think about them every day. I think about how hard they must be having it and how tough their life is. I think about the people that they care about, the pains and sufferings they go through. I think about a lot of things, and one of the things I think about is hoping and wishing that there would be this good energy, these positivity and good vibes for them, and that they would have plenty of kindness and support and gentleness in their life. Though it's not always as easy to make things turn out well as that. I do feel like at least somebody is thinking of them and hoping for them and praying for them. That's about as much as you can ask for sometimes. And I do hope that, if nothing else, it helps their spirit. That's good enough for me. So we have just gone over the 1 hour period. That means that we're taking a short little break. So, wherever you are, find a little place in your meditation, in your relaxation, or even in your half sleep to stretch out, to make yourself nice and aware of what's going on around you, and to stand up, use the restroom, go walk around, or get yourself a nice drink and a snack. I'm going to go do all of the above. So I will be back in about 5 minutes. While I'm gone, thank you for coming by, Jenny. I hope you get to sleep just fine. Glad to have had you here. You're very welcome. So just take 5 minutes and make some time for yourself and meet me back here just in a little while. Be back in a minute. Alright, and we're back. Hope you all had a nice little break. I know I did. So let's move on to our next random word. Core. When talking about any situation, anything from just a casual conversation or a debate even, there's always a core issue that is trying to be resolved. The core of a conversation might be somebody trying to get across a feeling of love or respect. A debate might be trying to get a feeling of intellectual or important intention or morality across. These are all parts of a dynamic that is formed when two people engage in a conversation. It's something that I'm really interested in as far as why people do these things and why they're interested in them, and I know clearly it's because talking is fun and talking to people and having a good time, that's what life is about. But understanding the core of what people are interested in and the things that make them act and care and have intrigue and passions, I've always been really interested in that. What somebody's objective is and what their goals are, that interests me too. I think that the core of this particular stream is to create a little place where people can take it easy and relax a little bit without having to worry about too much being brought up or too much negativity. Just a place to chill for a little bit. That's the plan anyway. And I think it's something that we're succeeding at every time. Though we have a little bit of trouble here and there figuring it out. Respectable. I have wanted to be a respectable member of society for a very long time. I want very much to be seen as a entrepreneur and a businessman and a voice artist and actor. You know, I want to be seen as hardworking and diligent and effective. These are all things I have an interest in, and I think those are pretty normal. I think that it's important to have it figured out what your plans are and what you like. More so than that, to know how you're going to get them and what your plan is to achieve them. Something that I plan for is taking a lot of time. You know, taking a lot of time to get much of anything done. Because it's like Ents in Lord of the Rings. They take a long time to do anything. And that's how it works on the internet as well. It takes a long time to gain traction. Because you're starting from nearly nothing. And trying to make a root into the earth just from that nothing. Just a little seedling. But eventually will be that massive oak tree. And I can't wait. Honestly, I can't. But I will. And I'm looking forward to when it happens. That's something that keeps me going. Let's move on to our next word. Forward. Definitely something that I deal with is the continual movement forward, making my mark and having the strength to keep going despite all of the problems that I face, despite all of the hardships I endure. To take that step into the next dominion, to work ever closer to success and to, I guess you could call it, fulfillment. Because fulfillment is something that I do crave, satisfaction. I crave to be in a better place, to be happier, to be valued and cared for, taken care of to some degree by the kindness of you fine folks and people like you. Though I know that to some degree it will take time for me to become that. Become that position, that regarded, and I accept that. I'm in a position where I am able to take that time for now. I hope that continues for a little while to come. And I think it will. I'm almost to the bottom of my tea. Let's move on to our next word. Education. It took a long time for me to become this educated, to become this capable at surviving through the harshness of depression and PTSD, and bipolar as well. But I think that through all this, I have learned a lot about human nature and about myself as well. Learning that generally people want to be happy and they want to be together and to be respected, cared for. I think that there's a lot of desire in people for those things. I desire them too. I've been educated in the art of actually taking care and showing respect. Rami, hello. So glad to have you. I hope that you're doing well. I think that the more you learn about people and happiness and trust and care, the more you can give those things to yourself as well. Because everybody wants to be cared for and valued. And that's something that I value myself as well. I think it's something that I am so valued in my view of that I treat those people that I care very much for as if they're on a completely different level from everybody else. And I guess it's a little unfair to treat someone like that, but I can't help it. I just care very strongly for certain people. I think it's natural to feel that way about certain companions in your life. Though I have to limit myself because I do put people on a pedestal. And that's something that I have done for a long time. Something I have to fight to not do anymore. But you know, you do these things for a little while, then you eventually get over it. And that's something I'm looking forward to, is doing it less and less. Mm-hmm. It's true. It's a very easy thing to have happen. It's something I certainly fight all the time. All the time. Galaxia Nova has hosted me with one viewer. Thank you so much, Rami. That is the first host I have ever had. And I don't even have a noise for it, which I should desperately look for a noise to make that work. Thank you. What kind of noise would fit for this stream? For people hosting me? It isn't? That's the first time I've seen it. Yeah, I never knew that. I've only just seen the first time now. Well, thank you for those other subsequent times as well. I just didn't even know about them. I might have been offline when they were happening. Understood. I'm grateful for that. I'm still thinking about this noise though, what it's gonna be. We need something like smooth and careful and boisterous and maybe a little bit, what was the right word for it? A little bit what you might expect from a streamer with a host, but not too much. Something a little bit subtle as well. Cognac. Well, thank you for that, Rami. I don't quite know what I would say though if I was going to say it like a host or like a, besides just saying you're being hosted. I could just do that. Just for right now. Wouldn't that be funny? Maybe I will do that just for the moment. Maybe that's a good idea. Let's move on to our next word. Evening. I think that evening time, just after like 4 o'clock, when it's not afternoon anymore, it's evening. I think that particular change in dynamic is interesting to me. The moment when it's no longer just a sly and kind afternoon, it becomes a little more intimate affair when it's evening. It feels like someone's saying something directly to you. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the rehost. I'm quite grateful. I always feel like the word evening is my favorite. I like morning too, though, but evening is a little sexier, if you know what I mean. Little more like rawr. If that makes sense. That's the way I see it, though. I hope that your painting is coming along nicely, Gigi. Let's move on to our next word. Gradual. The story of the Grand Canyon is all about the gradual nature of nature itself. It was not formed in one day. It's supposed to be my friend if she were a cat. That sounds wonderful. I have never drawn a picture of a cat, but I have colored a picture of a cat, though I don't have that image, that picture anymore. I wish I did, because it's very stunning. Or let's say it was very stunning. I don't know where it is. I have some guesses, though. I think, though, that I am like the Grand Canyon. Small at first, just a little line in the sand. But the line gets longer and deeper, and eventually it forms something great that can be seen almost from outer space. And that's a wonderful thing. It's quite cool. In fact, it's even momentous, if you ask me. That gradual shift from one thing to another, that is something I want to tap into. Well, I'm about to publish a with my pet chinchilla. That's a coloring calendar. You have a pet chinchilla, and I am extremely jealous. I adore chinchillas. I love cats. I love dogs. I adore chinchillas. I love lizards and iguanas and chameleons. I like animals of almost all kinds. I'm afraid of some animals, like it is natural and reasonable to be. And yeah, chinchillas poop a lot. Yes, I've heard that too. Aw, I'm glad. I'm very glad. Tell me, what is his name? I'd love to know. His name is a lot? Or he poops a lot, because either one of those is pretty funny. Chinchi, aw, that's so good. See, I am absolutely terrible at coming up with names. I have to do random generators online for most of mine. Chinchi is a great name, though. Chin-chi. Oh, well, it's still good, either way. He poops a lot, yeah, I've heard that. They need lots of dust baths, but their dust baths are adorable when they're doing them. Very adorable. Oh, a sombrero. Oh, that sounds so good. I love tiny animals and tiny hats. I love that. Of all the other things, I love that so much. Little tiny dust baths. Yeah, one day I will have a furry companion who is as cute or cuter than a chinchilla. And we're moving into the last half hour of our show for today. We've already made it pretty far. We've just got a little bit more to go before we're done. Just thinking about chinchillas is making me happy. Let's move on to our next word. Clean. Nothing quite as good as, aw, I would love that. I would love that. There's nothing better than a clean recording or... Ella! Oh, you made it. I'm so glad you're here. I was worried you were too busy to show up. Oh, here they are, the chinchilla pictures. Aww. Oh, what a tiny little cutie. It's okay. I'm glad that you got to hear it all. I'm just looking at some chinchilla pictures. You're here now. That's what matters. Glad you came at all. Ah, man. Chinchillas are something special, though. I can't wait to see that one. Chinchillas and hats. That's real great stuff right there. You can't ask for much more than that. I hope that you've had a lovely day, Ella. I hope that you're doing really well. Oh, I'm glad it was alright. My day was very testing for me, it was very challenging. I heard some news that really affected me negatively, and I had to work really hard to stay positive, and I had the help of somebody who I care about and who has been with me for a while, and I'm grateful for her. Just like I'm grateful for you for being here. We're all very glad to have you. On episode 10, you made it to episode 10, Ella. Think about that. 10 episodes we've been doing this. Yes, you did. So, I'm going to be doing some special stuff for episode 11. We're getting our new background, and we're also going to have some new alerts as well. Though they're going to be very simple, mostly just me saying what's happening. I'm looking forward to using them though. Overall, been a pretty successful day. Despite the negative feelings. I could make alerts reappear. I didn't know that. Awesome. Alright, let's move on to our next word. Oh, our next ASMR story is about beaches. I just got the word beach. And that is what our next ASMR story is about. It's a wonderful little segment that I've been planning for a little while. And it's a little less than a half hour. And it is killer. It's great. It's actually the start of a series of really interesting things. I'm looking forward to getting into it more seriously. In fact, it's going to be a new step for me in my content. is doing more of these ASMR stories and doing more of the lovely stuff that we have planned. In fact, it's something I'm really looking forward to, is getting back into it. I'm also doing more ASMR stories with SOS as well. And that is something that I'm looking forward to as well. Hopefully we'll be able to do some of those together. Oh, thank you, Gigi. Let me go take a look. Oh, he looks so uncomfortable with that hat on. That's part of the cuteness, though, is they're like, why am I in this? Cinco de Chinchi. I love it. I'm gonna keep those. Aw. I'm gonna keep this. I don't know where I'm gonna put it, but I think I'll put it in my little memories folder for later. Gosh, that might be the best thing I've seen all day. Exactly. Anytime. But thank you so much for sharing that with me. Mm-hmm. Let's look at our next word. Peace. I think peace is something everybody strives for, right? Deep down, everybody wants to be at peace, to have some kind of balance in their life. I think that peace and comfort, peace of mind, peace of body, peace of soul, spirit, both of those usually come together. It's something I crave, though. Honestly, I didn't think I was worthy of peace for quite some time. I thought that my existence was not really meant to be peaceful, that it was a ordeal, like a challenge or a survival of some kind, but not peaceful, not contentful, a struggle. And I struggled that way for quite some time. That was before I was able to fully break free from that very tempestuous sort of life. I think that it's something that I had to fight really hard for. Because even now I get pulled back into it every now and again. But the importance is that you got away from it once and you can get away from it again. As for where things are, where they'll go, I know that peace is around the corner for all of us. I don't know when exactly or how it'll come exactly, but I believe that we all have a slice of peace waiting for us somewhere. And that belief has made me feel more whole, more, I guess, happy as well. Excuse me, I had to yawn a little bit, making myself fall asleep. If you can believe it. This is good. It's good for me, though, honestly, doing this. It does help me get to sleep, along with everybody else. And I've talked about this before, but I do talk to myself, not just because it is a eccentric thing that I do, but also because hearing my own voice calms me down significantly. And it is a helpful, soothing, relaxation technique. Alright, let's move on to our next word. Shape. It is really important to have things in your life that you can shape into something a little bit more brilliant than it was before. By that I mean having kind and benevolent intentions for something that can grow and change and become stronger and better just from you being there to guide it. That is the kind of energy that I want in my life as well. Energy to become mentoric, or I guess you could say tutoric as well. Those kinds of relationships have always been interesting to me, where both parties grow, but one is giving the other something that they already have. The other's giving the first something that they might have lost a long time ago, or feel like they have been far away from forever. Wisdom and youth. You know, sometimes people forget how young they used to be, and I do too. And having someone young in your life can remind you of the energy that you once had. I know my energy has changed over the years. I think one day I'd like to have some kind of machine that makes my memories perfectly clear so I can go visit them and see them again. I could see California. California. Through my eyes as a kid, through my childhood eyes. Wouldn't that be something? Something great. I'd like that someday. I think something else as well is important. The importance of treasuring certain things in your life, like memories. Like episodes of Black Mirror. Oh, I don't watch that show, but I know what it's about. It's far too grim dark for me, though. I believe it. Is to treasure something in your mind and to have it to hold dear and close. Something where you can look back on some of the great things that you've been through and seen and remember old lessons from when you were much smaller and much more designed to have fun and to be soft and gentle and caring. See things from your younger perspective again. I do remember that episode. I remember where they had the little thing in their eyes that would change and shift around when they were doing that sort of thing. That's not what I would use it for, though. I would just look at stuff again and see what my life was like in the past. Just to get an idea of where I've come from and where I'm going. Playing in the sand, yeah. I used to have this sandbox right outside my backyard. And I would never play in it because it had ants and feces in it. But I always remember wanting to play in it. Going on the jungle gym, going down slides, being in kindergarten. That'd be fun to see all that again. See it how my old 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old eyes saw everything. That'd be something. Beach sand is good sand, I admit. No, I didn't live near the beach myself, but I had a little. I remember the slides could get real hot though if you slid down them the wrong way and your shirt went up on your back. If it hiked too much, then you got like the hot plastic on your back. It was like, and you'd like my back. That plastic got real hot. Luckily, though, California didn't have the worst heat back then. In the oh, metal slides that too. We had plastic slides. I'm sorry to hear that. Plastic slides are superior in my opinion. But I appreciate that metal slides are very common. Roller skates, huh? I'm not brave enough to go down the slide with roller skates myself, but I'm sure it sounds like fun. Well, I think there are a lot of lessons to be learned from the strengths of youth and the follies and misgivings, but also there's a lot of lessons to be learned from growing up and not needing to do some of those childish things anymore, but still retaining some of your childhood wonder as well. If I had the chance to live through it all again, I would as well. Just to see what I could do and what I could live and what I could experience. Because there were some really good times in California. Some really good times. But I don't want to live the part after that too much, because that was a very difficult 10 years to live through. Maybe if I was like I am now, I would be more okay with them, but not quite. Not quite yet. Time to look up our last word for the night. Principle. I think being principled and having a strength of character to where you believe in something and to where you have morals and guiding compasses of ethics and things like that. I think those are really important in life. I think that we need them and that they bring us along the road to becoming better people. Honestly, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have those feelings in me, feelings of consciousness and conscience, empathy and humanity. Those are things I value extremely. And I look forward to improving my humanity as time goes on and to become a better person. I know what you mean, but it's there. It's there all around us. We just don't always see it. We have to look for it sometimes. We have to be that if we don't see it somewhere else. Be paragons of virtue. That's what I aim to be. Protagonists, I think you could say. I don't know if that's the right word for it, though. I don't even know if that's a real word at all, so you might have to just take my word for it for the moment. So we have come to the last 5 minutes of our stream. I want to let all of you know that are still here with me. I'm glad you came. We've had a great time. We've been pretty active in chat, and we've all gotten together to enjoy ourselves. I hope that the stream has made you feel a little more relaxed, a little more, a little more strong, a little more capable for the day. And I hope that it's left you with a feeling of warmth and made you just a little bit more happy than you were before. Thank you so much, Ellen. It's okay that you came late, I don't mind. I'm just glad that you made it at all. That's all I can say. And we've done really well to get to episode 10, to come here together and to be able to achieve this wonderful 2 hours of just calm and cool and relaxation. And I am so glad to be here. I feel empowered by this and strengthened by it. And I think that we all improve and gain a lot of balance and poise from these things. So I'm so glad you could all join me. And I am grateful that we had this time together. But we are coming to the end of the stream. So I'll remind you again, if you've got a little bit of time, maybe join us again over the week, 7:30 CST, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and on Saturdays as well. Come take some time, enjoy yourself, and just relax for a little bit. Now, I'm going to get going here, but I want to let you all know This is always my favorite time of the week. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday. Yes. This is my favorite time of the week, and I'm really glad we could spend it together, and I'm glad that you were here, even if you came late. Hope to catch you again soon. I hope that if you enjoyed it, you will follow. Thank you, Ella. And I hope to see you on Tuesday. You all have a nice day, nice night. Get to sleep soon. Stay safe and take care. Bye-bye.